Hello and welcome to Talkin Baseball. We are going to be discussing everything that happened this week. A lot happened. Nothing happened. Something happened. Let's do it. Hello and welcome to Talkin Baseball. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's May 17th, 2024. My name is Jimmy. Trevor joining us from California. Producer BBD in the corner. And we will be discussing baseball in the major league. Baseball in the major league. I guess that is a sound sentence. Jake's
that sounds
not
like
here.
You're from Europe.
Yeah, Jake's not here.
1960s.
He's on vacay. He's got an empty seat. Empty seat right there. Trev, you filled in with Carl Ravitch last episode. That was pretty cool.
I loved it. I told Carl, I was like, man, like you're just one of those guys I've listened to and watched for so long. It's like you're almost like not real, but you're real. I was talking to him. It was cool.
Did we share an elevator with him once, BB? Or is that? No, that was the guy who does Santa Maria.
Oh, Vescursion.
Oh,
He's been at Yankee Stadium a lot.
Yeah.
When we've been there.
One question I
probably
did
shared
not
with
ask
Ravitch,
Carl, which I should have. I was very curious. It's like, where does the energy come from? Is it natural? Because he always just is like,
some people have
he does
it.
a lot.
I mean, some people have it, like Nick Swisher, Carl Ravitch.
Yeah, Nick Swisher.
Other people are really good at containing it and faking or doing it like Chris Rose. Like what Chris Rose does at the warehouse.
It's true. He's very tired all the time, but
when he's off mic, he's, resting. Those days are crazy. He's doing 4 games a day, and he's so energetic for those.
He's really good. You're right.
Yeah. No, that was good. Even some of the quotes by him got picked up. I saw like an ESPN article talking about it or something like that, or another article. So good stuff. All right. For those listening, I haven't been on a Friday episode in a long time, and I want to be, we'll be transparent with you. I made the structure today of kind of what I've always wanted these shows to be like. So we're trying a new structure out, and it is as such. First, we're going to do American League Burn. I'll do it. It'll be more informative than witty because I'm not Jake. He's great at those. Then Trev's going to give you updates on standings and movements, what that meant. Then we'll do the National League right away. Same thing, recap, burn, what it means for the standings. Then we'll go into the second part of the show where we're going to just cover some topics. We have Texas pitching woes, Astros and Rangers on the move. Woes and goes I added because there has been some good. Ron Washington calls out Luis Guillorme. Doesn't sugarcoat anything over there. Nope. Steve Cohen tweets about the deadline and then deletes it and then corrects it. Adley Rutschman saves the Orioles' sweepless streak with a walk-off homer. Padres fans boo their own team like New Yorkers. What the hell? And then any loose threads, odds, and ends at the end we'll cover. That's the agenda. Thank you for hanging with us and being the best audience around, making us the biggest baseball show around. And I do have to tell you, this is an ad read, but it's not really an ad read because it's for Jerry Blevins whiskey. Field of Dreams. Have you heard about this, Trev?
Jerry Blevins is whiskey?
Jerry Blevins, Tyler Clippard, and Drew Storen.
Okay.
They told us
I hit homer off all those guys, whatever.
They said you're a combined 0 for 7 against them.
Yeah, probably.
I think 5 over 5.
0 for 5, yeah.
I knew they were going to go there.
That group of former major leaguers launched Field of Dreams whiskey last year. They've taken over 5 billion kernels of Field of Dreams corn, distilled it into whiskey. This month marks the release of their Field of Dreams Player Series bourbon. You're going to love this, Trev. An annual limited edition of 23,114 bottles. What does that number represent?
Major leaguers ever.
Number of major leaguers ever. Each bottle is hand-numbered, representing a player on when they made their debut. So, Trev's, your debut number, do you know it?
I don't. I know it's under 20,000 because
that's pretty cool. 19,738. So if you get that bottle, you got the Trevor Plouffe whiskey bottle. Now we're holding player 19,320, who we were just told is Clayton Kershaw. Oh, sorry.
Oh, Clayton Kershaw. I was going to say, someone that
that's-
debuted
They
in like
sent us Kersh.
09, 08.
That's pretty cool. This is the Kershaw
That's a nice
bottle.
one. We should get that signed by Clayton Kershaw.
So-
I can make that happen.
All right, so how did they get this? Let me figure this out. Whiskey drops Monday, May 20th at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. It's the ultimate Father's Day gift, and orders placed on Monday should arrive in time for you to be Dad's favorite gift giver this year. Follow at Drinkfield of Dreams on Instagram and visit www.drinkfieldofdreams.com/JohnBoy to taste the most famous cornfield in the world. 21 plus, please drink responsibly. So drinkfieldofdreams.com/JohnBoy. That helps us out. That helps Blev out. That helps you out. Father's Day gifts. You need to know what to get. That's actually really cool. And it's kind of cool. We got Kershaw. I don't know if they did that on purpose, just happenstance, but it's better than a name I don't know.
Love that. That's a great idea. Jerry, thanks for letting me get in on that. That's whatever.
Yeah.
Can
Nats
let us
bullpen,
know.
I think. All right, let's get right into it. American League action. I'm going to run you guys through what took place. Here we go. Toronto went down to Baltimore for 3 games, but the middle one got rained out. In game 1, Cano blows the save, and the Orioles lose their 4th straight Corbin Burns start. That's not good. In game 2, the Jays had the lead. They bring in IKF as a defensive replacement in the bottom of the 9th. He can't make the play on the ball hit to him, which leads to an Adley Rutschman walk-off homer. They split the 2 games. The Rays and the Red Sox got sloppy over 4 games. Game 2 went 12 innings and has some of the sloppier baseball play you'll see. It was crazy. I actually have a clip if Trev wants to see it. The Sox had 7 pitchers give up an earned run in the series. Not great. The Rays won 3 out of 4. Guardians and Rangers. They played 3 in Texas. Game 1 was a pitcher's duel between Lorenzen and Bybee. Then the Rangers pen blew it. Game 2, Leiter, not great, Bob. Rangers did salvage the series in Game 3 with John Gray on the mound, but for the Guardians, Jimenez and J-Ram hot and get it done. So the Guardians took 2 out of 3. Seattle hosted Kansas City. They took 2 out of 3. 4 words for you: George Kirby, Luke Raley. George Kirby's just awesome. Luke Raley opens the scoring in Game 1 and Game 2, closes it in Game 3, had a big series. Our Yanks took on Trev's Twins in Minnesota. The Yankees allowed a leadoff home run in Game 1 and then recorded 81 consecutive outs without allowing a run. Judge hit the shit out of every single ball he swung at, basically. Twins got swept by the Yankees. The White Sox hosted the Nationals in a series that had to have more scouts in attendance than fans because these teams should be trading. Trevor Williams had another good start. Trade him. Fetty had another great start. Trade him. Crochet tosses 5 scoreless. Kopech records the save, his 5th scoreless outing in a row. Trade him. White Sox take 2 out of 3. I included the White Sox in the American League because they won the series. That's your American League roundup. Trev, can you let the people know how everything I just said affected the standings?
Yes, I think you're going to be very happy with how I start, because we're going to start in the American League East, where your Yankees jumped the Baltimore Orioles. They're sitting at 30-15, 1 game above the Orioles for 27-14. Tampa above 500, 23-22. Boston sitting right there, dead even, James, 22-22. And Toronto, what's going on in Toronto, man? I feel like we ask that every single episode at the end of the AL East at 19-23. In the Central, Cleveland, they just win, man. They just get the job done. They're 27-17, and they're finding ways to win baseball games. Josh Naylor has he turned into like a real deal thing? Because if you look at his last 162, James, it's nuts.
Something
Kansas
happened.
City takes over second place from Minnesota. They're 26-19. Kind of love that whole story with them. I love just the way they're playing baseball. Minnesota, horrible series. You flush it, James. You flush the series. They're 24-19. The Tigers 21-22. And the White Sox are 14-30. It's a tough one. And then the West, the Mariners 24-20.
Pause
Yes,
real
time?
quick. Beebs, play the music again. I fucked up. The Astros swept all 4 games against the A's. I don't know how it didn't get copy and pasted in my notes. Bregman makes a swing change and goes off. 7 hits, 3 homers, 2 doubles for him. Javier and Framber with great starts. Blanco suspended, but the Astros now have won 5 in a row and are having some big people have big performances. All right, Trev, back to the standings.
Of course, those Yankee fans wouldn't talk about the Astros. In the West, I'll go back to it. 24-20, those Seattle Mariners are there. Texas, 23-22. Houston, not dead. Not dead. 19-25. They're in 3rd place in the West. They're over Oakland now, who is 19-27, and the Angels down there at 16-28. I think that might be the biggest thing I take away from this week is Houston up here. Breggy making a swing adjustment. You talked about it a little bit. He was talking about his hands. He was getting wristy, throwing them out there. Had to use the body a little bit more. So here we go.
He was doing it like a pickaxe was his motion instead of like a swing.
He's so through it, and it was pretty cool. I don't know if anyone saw this. I believe it was on MLB Network. Chris Young gives him a call and says, "Hey man, will you just show us what the heck you worked on?" And Bregman pulled over in a residential area and just gave a demonstration. That was pretty cool. If he gets going and the Astros are who we think they are, it's going to be receipt season for people. Here it comes. There's Bregman. He just hopped out hey, I'll just go on this person's grass. Probably not even his own grass right there.
This is how I thought about it yesterday. Body back, knob out. Before I was thinking
Just next to his car.
Why was he thinking that? He's never done that.
I don't know.
Why was he doing the axe?
I don't see a difference in the side-by-side they show either, but that doesn't matter. It's mentally what you think as a hitter.
That was a different pitch, and his posture was a little different.
Yeah, but
I don't like that swing.
The hands, what he says he was originally thinking, he wasn't doing that. It's just mindset stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know why
he's always been a knob to the pitcher's face type of guy. That's his thing.
Yeah, I don't know why he was thinking that. It's weird. Anyway, yeah, the Astros 5 in a row. I mean, they kind of just let everyone know, no. The A's are the A's, and we're the Astros.
They just needed a little scandal to get them going. That's all we needed.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. All right, let's jump right to the National League where we have, let me make sure I don't miss one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 series. The Phillies and the Mets had a 4-game home-and-home series. It opened with the Phillies winning in extras on the road. It closed with the Mets winning on extras on the road, and the Phillies won the 2 games in the middle. They're hot, but the Mets avoid the 4-game sweep. The Cubs went to Atlanta and got shut out in games 1 and 2, but they win game 3. They do not get swept. Great starting pitching in this series from both sides. Imanaga and Assad, is that how you say it? They had great starts for the Cubs. Sale and Lopez, great starts for the Braves. Zach Short got traded to the Braves. This was the first series where he got starts. He started all 3. He had hits in all 3. Way to go, Zach Short, our dude, a Brave third baseman. Pirates and Brewers slugged it out over 3 games in Milwaukee. The Brewers had 6 homers from 5 different players in this series. Contreras, Frelick, and Ortiz all had a big week with the bats. And Gary homered, and I saw it, and it was beautiful. The Reds and Diamondbacks split games 1 and 2 in Arizona, and then the D-backs won the rubber match with Fought on the mound. Kevin Newman, 4-hit game in game 1. Ketel Marte has a 15-game hit streak going, but it's one of those non-impressive hit streaks because he's not hitting for extra base hits at all. Still cool. Rockies sweep the Padres. More on that later in the show. Dodgers win games 1 and 2 in San Francisco. They don't win game 3. Yamamoto gets got for the first time in a while. It's not brutal, but of note, Gavin Stone and Logan Webb dealt. Cardinals went to Anaheim. They took 2 out of 3 from Ron Washington's Angels. The Angels are up 4-0 going into the 7th inning of game 1, and then the Cardinals scored 8 runs in the inning. Yikes. The rest of this series is just meh all around. All the Cardinals starting pitchers lines, all the hitting lines, I was just like, meh. Marlins shut out the Tigers twice in a 3-game set in Detroit. The Marlins blanked the Tigers in 25 out of 27 innings. They gave up 6 runs in game 1. Only 3 were earned. So the Marlins pitched 26.1 innings with 0 earned runs against the Tigers. Only 1 of the 8 pitchers they used allowed earned runs. Tigers, that's awful. What are you, the Twins?
Oh, you had that one in the holster.
That's your National League. What did that do in the standings, Trev? Anything?
Freaking Marlins shutting out the Tigers is like something you type in a chat GBT and it would spill that out. That makes a lot of sense to me. That's all I'm saying. All right. In the National League, in the East, Philadelphia, best record in all of baseball. Yeah, but what's their schedule look like? Shut up. They're 31-14. People are taking care of business. What are you supposed to do? Atlanta, 26-14. How have they played so many less games than the Phillies? Whatever. And then that's the only 2 teams in the NL East above 500 because Washington, although they played better than people had expected, they're 20-22. The Mets, we'll get into them in a little bit. They're 20-23. And then Miami, way, way down there at the bottom, 13-32. In the Central, Milwaukee, man. I knew it. Everybody knew it. They were going to be good this year because everyone thought they were going to be bad. 26-17. The Cubs right behind them at 25-20. And then we saw a little bit of movement at the bottom here of the division here. Pirates in 3rd place at 20-25. The Reds and Cardinals swapped. Reds are 19-25, and the Cardinals are 18-25. Even after they won that series, Katie Wu said possible jumping off point for the Cardinals in a good way, meaning could this series get them going? I don't know because it's against the Angels, Katie. The Dodgers out west, 29-17. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. The only team above 500 in the West, James, as the Padres are 22-24 after getting swept. The Diamondbacks sitting at 21-23. Giants at 20-25. That kind of makes sense to me too. We thought all 3 of those teams would be jumbled up, and they are all jumbled up. And then the Rockies sitting at the bottom, 15-28.
So the Cardinals won a series but lost ground in the division and are now in last place after winning a series. So I don't know how much of a jumping off point the week was for them.
Well, you got to win series. I think Katie's, she's grasping for anything.
I like it. It is funny to me that the National League, from Monday to Friday, the only difference is that the Cardinals and the Reds flip spots.
That's really it.
Everyone else stayed, ranked or wherever place the same way. But the Rockies do pick up a game and a half. That's big.
Hey, 7 in a row for them, I believe it is.
Yeah, we have.
Happy for Kelsey.
That is
number
fun.
1.
Let me see what else I was going to look at. Oh yeah, so then it's just bad for the Padres because they get swept. So everyone coming up on them is just way closer now. Because everyone else
said there was 1.5 games separating those 3 teams, and they are. That's what we thought would happen. I think the Padres. If I go in that group real quick, James, if I say Padres, Arizona, San Francisco, I'm saying I think the Padres have the best roster. They've had the best quote unquote fringe player play. Jackson Merrill, Jerkson Profar. I think I think Michael King is probably overperforming what people thought he would do. And then Arizona and San Francisco underperformed, I think, so far, in my opinion.
Yeah, and if we were to keep doing this format, we'd probably add in wild card jumping and all that because it is so important.
Not yet. I don't think wild card comes into play just yet.
Yeah, but because of the Phillies and the Braves, like the East looking like it's going to be a 2-team division, then the Cubs and the Brewers right now, that's the Cubs, Padres, Diamondbacks might be the 3-team race throughout the season, unless you believe in the Mets, which is a topic later on in the show.
Who believes in the Mets?
Does the owner believe in the Mets? Yeah. All right. So there you go. That is what happened over the weekend. One note on what you said about the Braves, like for people trying to say, yeah, but they had or the Phillies, they had an easy schedule.
Yes.
Duh. That only works when it's the opposite. you're supposed to get fat off the bad teams. They're doing exactly what it's not a knock. Like
people are knocking it. They're saying you're getting too much press. In the power rankings, I think we had them second to the Dodgers. Oh, but have you seen their schedule? And that's exactly what I said, James. You're like, they're doing what they're supposed. They're playing at a 700 clip. Like that's what you're supposed to do against these teams.
Yeah.
And they've dominated, not just been okay against them. They've dominated it.
And some of those teams, this early in the season, they're below 500 because they lost to the Phillies.
Exactly. The Padres are one game under if they
had taken some games. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Mets are close. And then that is worrisome about your Twins or the Central Division in the AL. Is I don't know if the Twins have 15 wins against teams below and 9 against teams above.
They still, I don't want to make this a Twins thing, James, but you're forcing me to do it right now. They're going to get Royce Lewis back.
My point
they're going to get Byron Buxton back, and they're going to be a better team if they can just stay on the freaking field. They need those guys.
My point is that you can't knock the Phillies. You're supposed to get fat on bad teams. You can be a little concerned. I still think not a lot right now about teams that are doing the opposite. Like that's a one-way criticism when you look at like power of schedule.
Yes.
All right. Let's get into some of these topics, which are going to be brought to you by Arena Club. If you are a fan of ripping packs or repacks, you got to check these guys out. Until now, or introducing slab packs. There you go. From arenaclub.com, the only repack that provides real value, a complete view of all possible cards and clear hit rates for each one. They are revolutionizing the repack game with transparency. After your pulls are revealed, they'll immediately be placed in your vault for safekeeping or trading and selling. You can have them officially graded by Arena Club. And the grading process is accurate, fast, and transparent with a full grade rationale provided, an explanation of how your cards were scored. So whether you're buying, selling, trading, or displaying, I like that. Arena Club is the card collecting platform you have to check out. Right now, you can get 10% off your first purchase by going to arenaclub.com/talkin. Wow, that's a crazy offer. 10% off a $400 slab pack. That's $40 right there. Anyways, that's arenaclub.com/talkin for 10% off your first purchase.
Good math right there.
Great math.
Wow, that's
always
a crazy
been a math
offer. There was some really good math done on a tweet the other day that said Roku has purchased the rights to the Sunday morning baseball game from MLB for $30 million over 3 years. And then the tweet did spacing, new paragraph. And then it said, that's an average of $10 million a year.
I mean, they got it right.
They got it right, but that math is for no one. I mean, not even I need that. And I need a lot of math. All right, first thing that caught my eye and interested me was the Texas pitching woes and goes, Trev. The Rangers sent Leiter down. He went 1.2 and got rocked. And we'll get into that. That Scherzer's got bad news. He's back on the 60-day right now. And then in Houston, Blanco gets suspended. But I came up with this headline before Framber and Javier dealt for Houston. So then I changed it to the Texas woes and goes because John Gray also dealt in Game 3 for Texas. So it's like, okay. These pitching staffs are interesting.
I thought woes and goes meant woes for the Rangers and all the people that are on the IL, and goes meaning get out of here, Blanco. That's what I thought.
Could have meant that. But it was woes, and then both teams just had like really good starts. You're like, oh, okay. They went.
Yeah, we've known about the woes in the Rangers rotation for a while. I mean, DeGrom and Scherzer haven't been there all year. DeGrom, he actually made a rehab start. There was the whole talk about the spread that he bought both teams. Everybody got AirPods. He was doing it big time, which Max fucking shout out. That's awesome, man. But then, yes, he had a setback. He's had a bunch of different stuff done to him. You mentioned he got put back on the 60-day. He had a cortisone injection. He had Botox in the shoulder and the neck area. That was on May 9th. And that's when you have some nerve issues, they try to do something like that to alleviate the pain. But when is he eligible to come off? May 28th is the earliest he's able to come off now. I'd imagine we're probably going to be way past that date. So they're going to be waiting a little bit longer for him, and then DeGrom isn't, eligible to come back until I'm not eligible, but he's not going to be back until late July, August, something like that. So this is going to be interesting to follow because it's we say this about teams a lot that have guys on the IL like this. It's basically making two massive trades. DeGrom and Scherzer coming onto the team. How are they going to look? I think that's obviously a question, but definitely a welcome back for them with this Rangers rotation. All the IL or pitchers on the IL they've been dealing with.
The Rangers rotation, like Fangraphs, only has 4 guys right now: John Gray, Andrew Heaney, Lorenzen, and Jose Urena, who they picked up as like a minor league option at the end of spring training, I think. And he started the year in the bullpen. Since made 2 starts because they just need help, and he's been good in those 2 starts. Now against Oakland and Colorado, but helping them out innings wise too, like not just 2 or 3.
They've only had 8 starters make starts, and I don't know. I guess I'm trying to think: is that a big number for this time in the year? I mean,
I think so.
I don't think that's crazy.
I don't think it's unheard
not like
of.
a huge number, but
especially if you have some spot starts like that.
Yeah, I don't think it's unheard of, but I think you'd probably more look at like how many have made like 3 starts, and they've had 7 pitchers make 3 starts. That's got to be rare.
Yeah, I mean
like
the bulk of the
league
guys
at
have
this
made their
point.
starts. Lorenzen has made 6 starts. Dunning and Eovaldi 7. Heaney's 8, and John Gray is 9. I mean those guys have.
What's another team with like pitching?
like we know has had some
Well,
injuries.
the
injury.
Astros.
Oh yeah, the Astros. That's why we're doing the whole fucking segment. Dumb.
I'm trying to think who another team that's gone through. The Braves has gone through some injuries.
Yeah, I'm trying to just find a
The
comp.
Mets have had 6 make multiple.
The Astros have also had 8 make starts, and the Astros have had 7 make 5 starts.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. So just on the Rangers, one thing about Leiter that I want to talk to you about, they have to just keep him at AAA the rest of the year, right?
I don't know, James. So I'm glad you brought him up because I wanted to talk about him. I've watched 2 of his starts, and I watched the first start against Detroit and kind of had, I was underwhelmed, if you will. And I said, it's his first start in the big leagues. Like maybe it'll turn around. But what I saw, I think, is something he's definitely going to have to figure out. Everything just looks different out of his hand. I think there's 2 things that have made him hittable at the big league level. Number 1, everything looks different out of his hand. Fastball, slider, curveball, they all kind of like pop differently out of his hand, So that makes it easy for a guy that's at the plate saying, hey, now I can really just sit fastball and react to the breaking ball. That's a common thought process, but there are pitchers that make that very difficult to do. If you have a guy that his pitches look the same coming out of his hand, you're saying, I'm going to sit fastball and react to the off speed. Well, if everything looks the same out of the hand, that becomes very difficult for you as a hitter. If you're facing Jack Leiter, everything looks different coming out, so you really can just sit fastball. And the other problem is his fastball is beginning absolutely demolished. James, I think that's a negative 11 run value right now through 3 starts. It's straight. He has not located it whatsoever. He's falling behind in counts, having to throw that thing, and it's getting crushed. He's going to have to. So what he has to do to figure it out and get another shot at the big level and have some success is he's got to figure out a way to, I think, maybe throw the curveball less. And that slider needs to really tunnel with his fastball. And then maybe he's either got to locate that fastball perfectly, because it's not like blowing people away either. I mean, he's not throwing it 102 miles an hour. He's throwing it, 94 to 96 and, maybe popping 97 every once in a while. That doesn't scare hitters anymore, especially if it's straight. So he either has to locate that much better than he's done, or he's got to add some movement to it. Something has to happen because right now guys are just teeing off on the heater, but it's because they can sit it because everything looks so different. You can't do that to big league hitters, man. You can't give them a freaking inch because if they can pick up the ball early on you and decipher the pitches, it's game over, and that's what we've seen from him.
I'm trying to find like the release point data. I forget where they show that. A baseball savant has like a visualizer that could literally show you like Davey Garcia's problem with the Yankees was that, and you could see his release point, and it was just like curveball here, fastball here, which when you get to the big leagues and guys are just going to pick you apart. But you're right, the fastball has an 893 slugging against. Holy shit, 11 hits, 4 doubles, 2 home runs, 2 triples, and 28% whiff percentage, but maybe that's because it's not accurate.
If you look at, the heat map of his fastball, I mean, it is up in the zone, but not up enough. So like kind of like right in the sweet spot, and he's just throwing it in the middle of the plate a lot. And that's going to get hit. I don't even care if you throw 102. I mean, I guess maybe Mason Miller can throw it by you with that. His is pretty straight, but he also has a nasty wipeout slider. Anyways, Jack Leiter doesn't have that, and he's getting nailed because of it. It's just kind of everything has gone wrong for him. And I'm not rooting against this guy. I want to see him improve, but he definitely, I say it all the time, it's a different level. AAA in the big leagues is a different level. Guys are they're just better at hitting mistakes in the big leagues. They're not going to miss mistakes in the big leagues. And he's just, like I said, falling behind the count too much, throwing the ball in the middle of the plate too much, and things just look different out of his hand. It doesn't even have to be a release point necessarily. It could just be how the ball comes out of the hand.
I was going to say the release point's pretty much the same. So you're saying maybe the slider just like floats out and they don't tunnel.
So, yeah, fastball comes out here.
Yep.
Slider comes out here. Curveball comes out here. It's like you see it right away.
Okay.
When you're in the box, you just see the ball out of the hand and that's that pitch. And the good pitchers or guys that have that deception, you don't know what pitch it is until almost like it's too late.
So what I think, because again, I want him to be successful and good, but it's not like go do 5 starts and come back up. It seems like if you want the long-term investment, you got to send him to AAA, let him work on all this stuff and like come back up feeling like a new guy, because it just hasn't, I don't think you can go up and down with him.
Well, shit, five starts now I feel like is a lifetime, because in between you're throwing these bullpens in front of the cameras. If they have a set plan and say, all right, this is what we're going to do. Like, let's get in front of the cameras. Let's try to, a little a grip manipulation, something like that. I don't think he'll be up in 5 starts unless they need him, which maybe that'll come up. But I agree. He just needs to go down there and not think about pitching at that level. Think about this is what I got to do at the big league level, because now he knows. I mean, 3 starts in and you've gotten hit around like that. You're like, okay, he's probably gone to his pitching coach and said, "What do I got to do? Can you help me?"
He's also got to be, if it's not tipping, it's just people being able to pick up on it. In this start, 0 swings and misses on the slider, cutter, or changeup, 1 whiff on the curveball. And
that could be something too. I haven't deep dove on that. I know you and I love to do it, so maybe we'll get into it. But from what I saw, just watching him, I was like, this guy's going to get hit. Okay. And he did.
So on the Rangers side, go trade for Fetty. Okay. Already. You need a pitcher. He's got a year of control, so maybe just a true rental, Williams or something. Go get him.
When it comes down to it, when everyone's back and healthy, and you can go Gray, Heaney, Lorenzen, Eovaldi, DeGrom, Scherzer, like you got 6 guys you can kind of call to, and Dane Dunning too. So that eventually the depth is going to be there, and
So on the
how long do you got to wait?
Yeah, but you just got to get a guy you can put the bullpen.
Yeah.
The Astros side of this conversation, Framber has a great start. Javier has a great start against the A's, so that's good. Blanco, the best starter. I mean, very early Cy Young award getter, gets popped for sticky stuff. And guess what? The umpire said, that's the stickiest stuff I ever felt, which they've said about every time they've suspended someone. That is like the line MLB has them say.
Has anyone Has there been an ump that's done that's caught multiple? Because they can't say that for all of them.
Yeah.
The other guys, if this is the first one you caught, then it would be the sticky
No,
stuff.
Isn't Phil Cuzzy
I think he got the first 3, right?
Yeah, but that's what they say. Stickiest stuff I ever felt. So it was on his non-throwing. It was on his glove.
Yeah.
So Espada kind of came out and had a weird quote where kind of made it easy for them to suspend. He's like, yeah, he had it on his non-throwing. I guess you're not supposed to do that.
I mean there is rules. So people, I talked about this a little bit on Talking or Baseball Today, excuse me, and there are rules that say you can't have that on your glove or your pants or your non-throwing hand, but in reality it's very difficult to not cross-contaminate, if you will. What's this guy supposed to do? Just hold his hand out away from his body until he goes to the ball? That's not an easy thing to do, especially have people put a rosin bag on their hand before? It puffs, you throw it up, and it shoots powder out.
Yeah.
Kind of everywhere. And then you sweat, and it does get really sticky. This is the thing. People are going to label him as a cheater, and it's the Astros, so they're going to go overboard on it. But nobody cares about that. And if it is something different, if it's a foreign substance that you're not supposed to use, yes, then I'll think a little bit differently of it. But all hitters care about, and the reason this all got brought up and the sticky stuff situation and glove checks and all this got brought up is because guys were using stuff that enhanced their performance. Their spin rate was jumping 300-400 RPMs. If that isn't happening, nobody cares. No, not one hitter will care if he's using stuff to grip the ball and his spin has not been affected. Not one hitter cares about that. So that's
is sunscreen,
what are we doing?
Legal or illegal or just happenstance?
I think it's illegal if you're doctoring baseballs with it, but how can you, that's one of the things, how can you combat that? You can't tell someone not to wear sunscreen, and it really is, dude, sunscreen and rosin and sweat is
so that's why if you watched any game before the crackdown, and this was pitchers that weren't using the pint with the, what was it called, the stuff?
Spider tack?
The spider tack shit. But not to name names. Well, I won't name his name. There was a bald pitcher for the Yankees that also played for the Blue Jays. And I just visually, was it him? No, I don't want to be mean. Remember after every pitch, and I used to point out breakdowns, just grabbing their forearm like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when Blanco says it was on my non-throwing arm, usually you would see them take the rosin bag, grip it, and then slap it on their arm. And that's an arm that's got a lot of bullfrog sunscreen on it. So then they can just go this after pitches, and they just have better grip. Now, that's not the spider tack level gluing your hand to the ball. That was why it's illegal. If that was the peak of what pitchers were doing, I don't think we would have had the crackdown. But that's why if someone's why would you put rosin on your other arm? That's what they do. You could just have a sweaty arm and not have sunscreen, which is
and everybody does that. Position players do that. Catchers do that. That is just to grip the baseball. Nobody cares. Not one big league hitter will say, "Oh, I don't want him to be able to grip the baseball." You want him to be able to grip the baseball. You just don't want it to be performance enhancing. And if you look at his spin numbers in that game, they did not jump. They jumped 10 RPM, which is negligible. You always have to have a baseline. So when, you could say, oh, well, he's always been this. So that's why his RPMs have always been up, because he's always been using it. I don't know, man. How are we ever going to find a baseline?
I don't know. All right, let's,
it's, to me, and I think most hitters, nobody really cares. I'm not going to consider Ronel Blanco a cheater. I'm not.
Just got too sticky for him. Got to curb it somehow, I guess. Beebs, can you play this Ron Washington press conference quote for the people that haven't heard it?
Yeah.
Guillorme missed it, but why did you want to call for that?
Lefty on lefty. I didn't sink a ball left-hander. I didn't want him to hit into a double play. He can handle the bat. He didn't do the job. It wasn't anything I did wrong. He didn't do the job.
Some good at-bats.
I would have rather went to the ninth inning with a 6-6 lead than to went to the ninth inning the way we did. It didn't work out.
What did you think of some of the at-bats tonight from Ronel and Paris, and good ones against?
No, very good ones. We fell behind 5-0. We fought back. We tied the ball game. We had a good matchup. Lefty got us. End of the game, the home run the lefty hit was the game.
Lefty got
Tried
us.
to do something to get back in the game. It didn't work in our favor. But other than that, I thought we did a good job of battling and staying in the game, not giving in, and we got beat.
So what do you got on? I've talked about this before with Joe Adell, and here's the pitch. It's a very hard pitch to bunt, but Guillorme also looks like a guy that, but it's also a squeeze.
It doesn't practice bunting because nobody practices bunting anymore.
Especially not a squeeze, like a suicide squeeze where you can't show it early. Like it's got to be a delayed reaction where you get it out there. So this is the first time where I'm like, oh, Ron, because I've been on his side when he told Adell, when Joe Adell ran past the bag, didn't slide, and Ron Washington was like, that can't happen again. That happens again. He's sitting. I liked that. Because that was so egregious. This kind of feel bad for Guillorme, putting him in a real tough spot and then blasting him. What do you got?
Yeah,
if your manager did this.
I feel the same way. I feel look, first of all, suicide squeeze, we're probably going to have to rename those in the coming year as people start to think about it. We don't do those a lot, so it doesn't get said a lot, but I think now this is getting a lot of traction. Anyways, it is that. It's I don't know. Is it a high percentage play? Is it a low percentage play? I think it's a low percentage play nowadays because you just don't practice bunting. If you're not going to bunt all the time, this is why bunt plays is just one bunt play because you don't practice them. In spring training, you practice 6 bunt plays and you never run them. You play one. Let's just get an out. That's what you do because you don't practice it. And you don't want to look a fool. How often have they practiced bunting? Yeah, you might bunt 2 every time you get in the cage to start your BP round off. But are you bunting lefty sliders? You're just not. You'll bunt a guy throwing 60 miles an hour at you max, or maybe you're doing it off a machine that's throwing it straight. You're not bunting lefty sliders. So obviously he put him in a situation that's very difficult. And he says, yeah, you're a big league. You're supposed to be able to do all these things. But again, the game has changed so much. We're not doing that. That's old school. That used to be what big leaguers do. Big leaguers don't do that anymore. You don't ask them to do it until it gets to a situation like this. And the effort, I'll say that the effort was not great. Front foot was going towards first base. The ball was going the other way. He wasn't even close to it. So even if the ball was not as far into the other batter's box, maybe he doesn't get it down either. But I just think I didn't love the call for a couple of reasons. Number one, lefty. He mentioned that. Well, the slider's very difficult. You don't practice bunting, all of that. But you also had Nico Goodrum on the bench who's a switch hitter. If you wanted a righty-lefty matchup, you could have went and got it.
Yeah, I hope we've had a lot of these older we've had a lot of older managers come back in the game, right? White Sox did it, didn't work out. Dusty Baker's doing it. Bochy does it, it works out. Dusty does it, it works out. Buck Scholes with the Mets didn't work out, but we've seen it a lot happen. And I've liked that. And I think we hit the peak of managers don't matter. Now, okay, there is some feel that you need for the game. I've been excited for Ron Washington in Anaheim, but this one to me I was like, I hope he's not managing through the media and just the media. How do you got to talk with Guillorme and know that if he can bunt or can't bunt. I appreciate honesty in the media.
He just got over to the team.
He just got there. This one to me, I was like, dude, you don't need to be doing all that. And it was the first time I had that reaction. I was like, that seems like a little too far.
I honestly didn't even think about that. This guy just got over to the team. It didn't. And what kind of relationship would Guillorme have with Ron Washington before? He's been on the Mets. Ron Washington's been with the Braves, so there's that whole aspect.
Guillorme he's a bat to ball guy, but that's when he's swinging.
That's swinging is way different than putting a bunt down. So it was an interesting situation. I didn't like the way he called him out. I didn't like the game situation aspect of it either. I mean, Romero gets a lot of ground balls, and Guillorme has shown, not the ability, but he hits into double plays. So I understand the thought process of it, but I think there was a better option on the bench. And I also think maybe just let him hit at that point. Lefty, suicide squeeze. The catcher can see it the whole time. All sorts of things can happen.
I just don't. It's a little too far in the managing through the media for me. All right, next one is Steve Cohen. But first, I got to talk to you about DraftKings because it's the bottom of the ninth. There's 2 outs. The bases are full. You're down 3. The crowd's on their feet. The drama of baseball is real. And so is all the action at DraftKings Sportsbook. From the first pitch to the final out, DraftKings has you covered with same-game parlays, live betting, odds boosts, and so much more. And if you're new to DraftKings, you got to check this out. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code TALKIN. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code TALKIN only at DraftKings. The crown is yours. Steve Cohen responded to a tweet. Someone tweeted out, like, blow up the team. And Cohen responded, all in the future. Not so much we can do until the deadline. Then he deleted that tweet. And then he said that he was surprised people inferred that as selling pieces when someone said blow it up and he said all in the future. What he meant, Trev, was, quote, I believe in this team. I believe in the back of the baseball card.
Obviously.
It's way too early to speculate on anything. It's May 16th. I expect to make the playoffs. I know the fan base is frustrated, but it's still early on. We're still capable of making the playoffs. I fully expect to make the playoffs. The Mets can still make the playoffs. 40% of teams make the playoffs. The Mets are right outside of the wild card, like a game out. All of that's true.
Ahead of them.
Yeah, all of that is true. But I think we are really going to find out what type of businessman Cohen is right now, because while that's all true, if it stays true to the deadline, it is still a team built to sell, right?
Yes.
Like
a lot of 1-year deals there.
I mean,
expiring contracts.
You have so many guys that you could go get for to help the future. Whereas if you go, if you buy at the deadline and sell pieces that could hurt your future for rentals, it would have to be trades that make sense. But like Severino can go get you something right now for the future. And then the other way I was thinking about this is, how many guys could they offer the qualifying offer to and they say no? Like Pete, you can offer the qualifying offer to. He would say no. That gets you draft picks if you don't resign him. Sevy, offer the qualifying offer to him. I think he hasn't reached free agency yet, but he did sign that 1-year extension with the Yankees. I don't know if that matters.
I don't think it matters because they didn't qualifying offer him last year.
He wouldn't.
So he'd be eligible, and I don't think would take.
I'm curious if he.
And
can
if he
get
did,
it
they
or
might
not.
be. Okay
I don't know.
I don't know, but he wouldn't take it. So you could get draft picks there. So there are some people that he might not trade because he knows we can offer the qualifying offer and get value. But yeah, it's funny because he replied to a tweet saying blow it up, and then was like, I didn't mean that. How could you infer that?
Clearly, blow it up doesn't mean blow it up, James.
Yeah.
It means I believe in my team. He's an interesting owner to me, man. Like, 'cause I know he wants to win. He has the resources to do it, but I also think I forget the exact number, and I'm blanking on it. I think it's like $146 million in dead money that they're paying out this year, which is insane. And I think he's realizing, okay, there's a difference between, and this is debatable. Like, a lot of people you can think whatever way you want about this. I actually don't even know what side of the fence I'm on. I think there's a difference between sneaking into the playoffs with a roster that you aren't very proud of, or you think can actually win the World Series, and then going into it like with a full confidence. And there is a thin line there, but you're right. There's so many people: Harrison Bader, JD Martinez, Jose Quintana, like a lot of people that they can go out. And if there was supposed to be, a transitional year, which is what Max Scherzer came out and said, then make it a transitional year and say, okay, like, we're going to go do this. We're going to try to get set back under one of the CBT levels, and then we'll go do it again. It would shock me if they didn't sell some of these guys, especially hearing that. And then kind of, looking at the roster, they'd have to go on some really, really great run here and really cement themselves in the playoff picture for them to go and not at least trade a couple of these guys.
I agree. I just thought about the Rangers picking up Severino and going to the playoffs with another Yankees, homegrown player like they did with Monty last year, and that made me sad a little bit. Okay. Sean Manaea had a really good start this week. Quintana had a decent enough start for them. So the Mets did win that last game, and they were in it Alonso hit a home run, his 10th on the year, despite all the bad numbers. So I'm interested in what the Mets do because obviously there's the heartstrings. We're not that far away, blah, blah, blah. But as a businessman, I think you don't get as successful as he has without sticking through to your plans. And they clearly built this team to sell.
Is it a situation? Is there any chance they could do both?
Yeah,
they could sell and add. Like so you bring in Christian Scott. He's a guy you can put in your rotation. They believe in him. He's done well so far. I think two quality starts. Can you sell Severino and say, hey, we got guys coming up that we think can replace that, and we're going to get something for him like that? There is.
I think you have to identify qualifying offer potential or not. Where Sevy, okay, we can get a draft pick for him, and that's at least something.
Or is what you trade for going to beat the qualifying offer compensation?
They'd have to go get guys that have an extra year, like Fetty, and or I'm just trying to move him so bad. Or they would have to just find another team that's in the AL West, so they don't see him that often, and like the Rangers, and do like hole for hole. They would have matchup.
Yeah.
That's what the Yankees did with Montgomery and Harrison Bader when they were both like going to the playoffs, and they were like, "Hey, this helps us. This helps you. It's a 1 year rental for rental." They would have to find deals like that.
And pay down the salaries. They get a better prospect. They've invented that, and I love it.
Yeah. All right, what do we got on Padres fans acting like they're from the Bronx, booing the Padres for getting swept by the Rockies? A lot of the players had quotes on the booing. Xander Bogaerts said, "We all want to play well. We all want to contribute. Play better. You don't like the boos? Play better. That's all I can say." Michael King said, "We're fully deserving of it if we're playing that poorly. I continue to think we have some smart fans here, and they know what they're watching. They know when they're watching bad baseball, so we have to figure it out." Michael King's always a great quote. Manny Machado said, "We played bad baseball. It's deserved. I feel like we're playing good baseball. We just didn't play good baseball this series. We've got to turn the page." Schilt said, "Listen, the sky is not falling in our clubhouse. I can tell you that. All I know is our clubhouse is in a good spot. The sky is not falling." Okay.
That's a nursery rhyme. What's the guy that says the sky is falling? It's a little chicken, isn't it? Chicken Little.
Chicken Little. Wow.
Little chicken Little.
I don't know. Padres fans booing, huh?
It's kind of funny to me. I mean, when I think of people from San Diego, and I know quite a few people from San Diego, like they're stoked, they're bras, like they are like, booing necessarily isn't there for them, but I think there's high expectations for this team. And especially coming up, they just won a bunch of series in a row, dude. They won, they beat Cincinnati, they beat Arizona, they beat the Cubs, and they beat the Dodgers. So they won 4 series in a row against some pretty dang good baseball teams. But then the Rockies come into town, and they get swept by a team that's on a heater. Although not necessarily considered a great team in the game. We all know that. But I thought all those quotes were awesome. I don't know if they got together and were like, "Hey guys, like let's handle this the right way."
You want to hear my
boos are fine.
You want to hear my obnoxious response?
Of course I do.
The 3 guys quoted played for Boston.
Oh no.
Played for the Yankees. Played for the Orioles. If you want guys to give a quote about how to handle when your hometown boos you, just go find a guy that played in the AL East.
You can see that.
Because
I can see that. I also think
that's Boo Nation.
I also think that's like just a smart way to handle it. So yeah, like we love our fans. Fans know what Michael King said was awesome, and that I think that does come from New York because I feel like I've heard people from the Yankees say that before. Like, hey, they know we're playing bad baseball.
The Yankees are taught to say we got smart fans here, and that's like that we hear that all the time. As fans, like we got smart fans. Judge will say that we got smart fans in the Bronx. They know that we should be playing better. So yeah, but don't ask a Met, they'll boo you back.
That's now you're getting somewhere that I don't know if we need to go there.
That's one of the funnier things people forget. The Mets players banded together and booed their own fan base back after winning a game. That's one of the funnier things that's happened in the last 5 years of baseball, and people have forgot about it.
A lot of the funny things that have happened to the Mets.
They looked up at the crowd and booed them. After winning. All right. Let's keep it moving.
Wait, I want to say
the Rockies,
real quick, shout out Rockies, because Schultz said this as much about the series. It's like, we didn't really give them free baseball. We didn't make errors. I think they only walked 4 people in the entire series. So they played good, clean baseball. But the Rockies are just taking care of business right now. I think you gotta applaud them, and winning 7 games is not 7 games in a row is not an easy thing to do in the big leagues.
No, and they are now 8-9 against the West, almost 500 against the West. Unfortunately, against the East and the Central, they are 1-11.
There's a guy on there that's like the new CJ Crone, and I'm forgetting his name right now, and I'm gonna go look
On the Rockies.
Yeah, it's like Bouchard or something like that. Let me look him up. Yeah, Sean Bouchard. Every time I see this guy, he's just hitting a big old homer. I guess he's only got 1 on the year, and I saw it.
Who started for the Rockies? You got Gomber, Hudson, Cal Quantrill. Pretty good starts there. And then Bouchard, that's who's getting it done.
That's really funny. It is. I saw him the last series of last year as well against the Twins. He hit a couple homers in that series. Every time I see this guy at the plate, he hits a homer. And clearly that's not the case because he only has 1 this year.
Jordan Beck got it done.
Oh, yeah, I like him. He looks like a little Khalil Greenish to me out there, which, if you know me, I love Khalil Green.
How about that? Jordan Beck, now on this winning streak, has been playing good ball. 368
overall numbers
batting
not
average.
very good.
Yeah, but in the winning streak, he's got good numbers. 304 batting average, 783 OPS, and if you go back even one more game before that, he's got an 852 OPS in his last 8 games.
Yep.
Started the year
333.
Started as
519.
Not great. So good for the Rook. Top 100 prospect.
I like his play. I like his style of play. I do.
Brenton Doyle still not getting it done. Elahuris Montero. How do you pronounce his first name?
He had a homer in the series, though.
Elauris Montero. Crushed it. Good for the Rocks. Kind of just some odds and ends and extra nuggets. And I want to show you that Red Sox Rays inning. I gave BBD the footage because one of the plays is just really funny because the pitcher is in a revolving door of like decision making. Just gets put in the turnstile. But shout out to Ranger Suarez. Lowest ERA by a Phillies pitcher in his first 9 starts of a season since 1912, since they've been tracking earned runs. I love Ranger Suarez. Very fun to watch. 1.37 is his ERA. And Javier Assad, I mentioned him with the Cubs. He's got 1.94 ERA, which is the lowest in baseball since June 27th of last year.
This guy's a nightmare. I love watching him pitch because I always try to put myself in the box against these guys. It's kind of how I watch pitchers pitch. I'm like, okay, what would I think about this guy? And James, he throws 3 different types of fastballs that are all kind of around the same, and they just move completely different. You have the sinker, the 4-seamer, and the cutter, and they're all 87 to 91, 92, and they just go different ways. It makes it so difficult. That's exactly the opposite of Jack Leiter, where it's like you can kind of see what's coming out of the hand. This is like decision making at the last second.
Okay, so I have to watch him.
It's fun.
This is who I like. I like watching those guys.
Oh, you would love.
Houck for Boston is doing that right now. Lance Lynn was the king. His game logs aren't as exciting anymore. Stroman kind of does that.
Xing the corners.
Stroman.
I told you Stroman was going to be good with the Yankees.
He pitches so weird though. He's very calm on the mound, which is great. But it's so odd. The catchers for Stroman set up like when you see Little League World Series catchers and they're like in the other's batter's box. That's honestly what he has them do. It's bizarre.
I love that.
Can I show you?
He reminds me of him and Sonny Gray to me are like the same.
Short. Can I show you the sequence here?
Yes.
Do you have it, Beebs?
Yes, let me know if this is.
So they're in extra innings in game 2. It's like a combined, and there's a runner on third here, and they run the contact play, and the Red Sox just get him out. That's the go-ahead run in extras, which this is baseball these days. I disagree with it, but that is how it works. Randy gets to second, and this next play, the Red Sox throw it away. So now Rosarena scores to take the lead. On that's kind of a bad play by the Rays and then a bad play by the Red Sox. Now the next inning, wait, pause it, Beavs, and go back to start this. This is so funny, Trev, if you haven't seen this. So it's first and third, but there's one out. So the pitcher, do I turn 2 and end the game, or do I? Yet never.
You don't. No, there's nobody there.
Let me listen to the announcer. They're really funny.
Palacios is going. If it's hit to him hard, he's going to turn 2. Ground ball back to the mound. He looked. He froze. He goes to first. The run is in. Got the out over there, first base.
Oh my God! This didn't have a plan. You got to get that runner. Who fucked the double play? That's the game.
That's insane right there. Yeah, I mean, this is all things you got to think of before in a situation. And you look back at your infielder and say, who do I got? And then you realize, oh, no, they're playing infield in. So if I get a ball back, we're probably not going to be able to turn 2. So now you just look the runner back at third, you get 1 out, and you move on.
I did skip one topic, but it's quick anyway. Yeah, so funny.
That's tough. That's tough for the Rays to watch.
The other thing I just really like is the Orioles not getting swept streak. I think it's more impressive.
In the regular season, people always point that out.
In the regular season, I think it's more impressive than it gets credit for. I want to know, what is their longest losing streak since this has happened. It can be 4. It can be 5, actually. If they win game 1 of a 4-game set, then lose 3, then lose the first 2 of a 3-game set, and then win it. But I don't know if that's it. But Adley comes up.
Look at this drunk guy hitting a homer here. Oh, my God.
Stumbling.
That's awesome, man. Especially because it's him that hits the walk-off to continue the streak, and it's like, that's...
He homered in game 1 as well.
If you could go right now, James, and you've starting to watch baseball and you're into it, but you need a team, I think Baltimore's probably the team to like be a fan of.
Yeah, and credit to their fans because they haven't gotten pissy yet. Usually when a team gets good quickly and they get a bunch of new fans, which I am so in favor of, like, hop on the bandwagon. Baseball's awesome. Support your local team. But usually that fan base, especially directed towards us and everyone else, gets really pissy. And the Orioles fans haven't. Like, I haven't felt like, especially as a Yankees fan, I haven't felt like
life is good, man.
But that's
you
the
got
thing.
A new owner.
But when the Padres fans got good, do you remember that? They were mean. And now I think they got humbled a little and they're booing their own fans.
I do recall Padres specifically, like, it was a thing on Twitter that they were mean even before they're good. Like,
okay.
Twitters
that
were
when
bad,
they got good that year, like 2020, 2020, it
level.
was like, oh my God, you guys are the meanest people on this whole website. And then you got some other
It happened to
Jays.
If you're an Orioles fan, like, relish these times. You have a beautiful ballpark that everybody freaking loves. You have a brand new owner that's out there doing and saying all the right things. You got a young core of players that are insane. You're winning 100 games a fucking year, and you got a plethora of prospects that you could go out and trade and get your big league team even better. Times are good. Times are good. Really, really good.
Some other notes. Vladdy did a cartwheel. That was interesting. Ellie De La Cruz stole his 30th bag. He kind of just like glitches from second to third, first to second. It's faster than the human eye.
I wish I would have bet that. Austin Barnes behind the plate, he can't throw anybody out. Plus, Tyler Glasnow doesn't really care. Like, that was the easiest over whatever stolen bases ever.
Yeah. Anything else we missed? Skeens is going to make his second start against the Cubs again.
That's free for everyone that wants to watch that. It's free on MLB.com.
Jared Jones is amazing. I don't know. Let us know what else you wanted us to discuss, and if you enjoyed this format.
Yes.
And we'll be back. Well, I don't know if I'll be back, but the show will be back Monday. Jimmy's 3 Things on Tuesday. It's also on a new podcast feed. You got to go find it.
If you've been looking for that because you normally listen to audio, it's just on its own thing.
Yeah, you got to go find
Jimmy's
its own
3
thing.
Things.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Go baseball. Boom, 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 boom. L. Lowry's. Laow is the middle, like, pronunciation letters.
I think you're saying it right. Jake sucks.
Wow.
That's a weird collection of letters to see next to each other.
In a pronunciation guide where it's supposed to be very phonetic.
It's supposed to be like, oh, I know how I would say that.
Yeah.
Did you see those new Pop-Tart looking City Connect for the Dodgers? What's up with that?
No.
They look like Pop-Tarts. I don't know if they're real or not, but I think they are.